In my last video, I talked about the 80-20 rule to be effective in studying. I was later messaged that evening and asked, okay, so once we've identified that 20% and worked on it, how do we know if we've learned it well? Richard Feynman came to mind. Richard Feynman was known as the great explainer. He really hammers home an important point. When it comes to learning, learn to understand. Don't learn to just memorize, because things we don't understand are just abstract and they fade. You've probably experienced it before. When you don't understand it, it's so hard to memorize it and then you just forget. It's because it didn't make sense in the first place. But if you make it make sense, it sticks. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ams Chowdhury. I'm a junior doctor in London, the co-founder of Scrubbed In and an NHS clinical entrepreneur. Now before I go on, I'd really love it if you could hit that subscribe button to support the growth. Anyways, let's get back to the video. When I was scripting this particular video, right, two particular teachers stood out for me. Dr. Khalid Malik, an orthopedic surgeon, and Dr. Peter Gogalniacienu, transplant and vascular surgeon. Pete, I smashed that, right? Anyways, why do they come to mind? It's because as a medical student, the stuff they taught me, be it randomly in theatre or in a single seminar, it just stuck. I got it straight away. Dr. Khalid taught me the 4 R's to manage orthopedic cases, and I remember it as clear as day now. And the way Dr. Peter taught me about the acute abdomen, it just stuck. It was a single event, a single seminar, but I remember their explanation so clearly and I apply it every single day when I'm working. There was a moment I remember as an F1 on call, I was worried because there were a lot of sick patients on the ward. And Peter flashed by as the reg on call and I told him about my worries. And I still remember what he told me. He said to me, don't worry, a lot of organs of the body can be replaced just with tubes. You just have to know the right people to contact and speak to. Now, if your patient has a pneumothorax or an effusion, stick a drain in. If they've got blocked ureters, they probably need a stent. If they're in urinary retention, they probably need a catheter. If they've got blocked coronaries, you need to speak to the cardiologist, possibly a PCI is needed. If they've got bowel obstruction, well, we just unblock the tube. Suddenly, I felt this breath of confidence that there were solutions to all of my worries. And I guess that confidence came from Peter helping me learn and understand the solutions that were at my disposal. And of course, he was the reg looking after me that day. To be that good, I realized they must have learned and understood their specialty extremely well. And what was the key indicator that they learned it well? They explained it incredibly well. This is exactly what the Feynman Technique is about. Let's start with a bit of history. Richard Feynman, he was a Nobel Prize winning physicist. He could take extremely complex concepts and explain it incredibly well. He earned the title the Great Explainer. So what's the magic? There isn't any. It's a question, and that's ask yourself, do you really understand it? And I mean, do you really understand it? Rule 1 from Feynman himself, the first principle is that you don't fool yourself. You're the easiest person to fool. Now, every single person at medical school is incredibly intelligent, but most of us were never taught how to learn. And so sometimes we do sort of slip, stumble and fail. And it's probably because we fooled ourselves that we understand it when we don't. The Feynman Technique exposes how well do you actually understand a topic or concept. It identifies the gaps and then it asks the major question. Do you really understand it? Here's how to practically apply the Feynman principles. Step 1, grab a piece of paper and pick a concept, a pathology, a condition, a topic, and just write it down as a title. Step 2, explain it. Write it down, write your explanation down. Keep it simple. Imagine you're explaining it to another friend or student. This is actually really useful because you're using active recall to extract all of that information in your brain and put it onto paper. Step 3, now go through what you've just written down. Identify all the areas that you were shaky on or unclear on, and then go back to the learning material to strengthen it and re-explain it. And finally, step 4, go over what you've learned and ask the question, have you explained it well enough? Would your friend get it? Would a more junior student get it? And if not, simplify it even more. And that's it really, there is no magic. That's the Feynman Technique. The technique helps you actively recall your knowledge, test your understanding, identifies the gaps, and then consolidates it for you. Nothing much to it. To know if you learned it well, make sure you can explain it well. Thanks for watching.